Hi, y'all. Well, I guess we can all agree that the cost of medical care and medicines just outrageous. It's all gone through the roof. And recently I shared a meme on Facebook and it said, a cured or healthy patient is a lost customer. Kind of seems like that's how doctors are motivated these days, doesn't it? Well, welcome back to Life After 18. My name is Jan, and what I want to share with you today is how medical insurance works between medical, dental, and vision insurance. Not everybody has it just automatically when they turn 18. This is something you have to pay for. It's not free for anybody. And I wanted, what would you say, blow up that misconception about how, oh, Medicare is free for old people. No, it's not. I get my little Social Security statement all the time, and it tells me how much is coming out to pay for my Medicare every single month. So it is not free. Now, when you're working, you do pay into that. So you kind of subsidize the amount of money that's going into it and the amount of care that you're going to get when you retire. But yeah, after you start collecting Social Security, you're still paying for it. It comes right out of your Social Security check. So it is not free. It's not an entitlement. I'm so sick of people saying things like that, just like Social Security isn't an entitlement either. But that's a whole nother argument, right? Or a whole nother discussion. I shouldn't even say it's an argument. It's a discussion just to kind of educate people and let them know how things really work. Now, between the ages of 18 and 65, when the government requires you to get on Medicare, that's interesting now, isn't it? They actually do. I tried to avoid that by keeping my own personal insurance policy that I was paying for. And boy, they really push back. You can get penalties, you can get this, that, and the other thing. And I thought, holy crap, okay, fine, I'll sign up for it. Speaking of pressure, right? But anyway, between the ages of 18 and 65, when you get that whole Medicare, you basically are responsible for your own healthcare insurance. And healthcare, yeah, that means medical coverage, that means dental, and that means vision. So you can generally get that through your employer. Depends on the job you have, the type of work you have. Part-time jobs, yeah, they generally don't offer that type of benefit. But when you go to work full time, 40 hours a week is considered full time. Whether you do it in 4 days or 5 days doesn't make any difference. But either way, when you get a full time job, that generally means you're probably going to be eligible to get an employer's health care insurance of some sort. Now, if you're working part time and you're still in school, for instance, you graduate high school, you go off to college, I believe used to be anyway, that you could stay on your parents' health care insurance if they have it through their employer up until the time you graduate college or by the time you turn 26. That's one of those things where you have to ask the questions. I don't really know for sure, haven't kept up on it, but yeah, it's a nice option. Talk to mom and dad about it. Have them ask questions with their employer's healthcare coverage department. So you have some options there. Now, if you're going to get healthcare insurance, you kind of need to understand how it works. It doesn't just magically happen, first of all. You got to sign up for it. And second of all, it doesn't cover everything that could possibly happen to you. Many times you have something called a deductible, or you have a limit as to what it's going to cover. So in the case of dental, it might only cover 60% of a crown and root canal process. And you think, oh, well, 60%, that's pretty good. How bad can it be? Yeah, we'll come back to that. I'll tell you about that. I also want to talk to you a little bit about some preventative maintenance so you can keep these costs down. That's always kind of nice. The caveat here is that preventative maintenance that I do for me may not necessarily work for you. Everybody is different. But if you want to get sort of an overview of what I do and to get a feel for what you can do as well, go to my website, Life After 18. Look at the blog post. It says 7 other things that you can do to hedge your bets against illness. That's under the health and hygiene category in the blog post. You'll see it there, lifeafter18.com, blog post menu, health and hygiene category. And look for those 7 other things. Anyway, it gives you a good idea of what you can do to pretty much stay healthy and prevent a lot of what is becoming a majority of chronic illnesses in this country these days. It's crazy how many people have chronic illnesses. And what I mean by that are things like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, heart problems, weak heart, they call it. Yeah, it's all tied to your habits, your health habits. And what I mean by that would be things like a good diet, a good nutritional diet. And again, something that works for me may not work for you. For instance, I was talking to a friend of mine earlier, and he was talking about a diet that's created especially for you based on your blood type. And he said, for instance, some people can eat apples, you know, that whole apple a day thing. I don't know if you ever heard that. Apple a day will keep a doctor away. Well, people like me, for some reason, apples really upset my stomach. They give me these horrible, sharp gas pains in my stomach, and I just can't stand to eat them. I love the taste of them. You know, golden delicious apples are good. Red delicious apples are good. Gala apples are amazing, but oh my God, they kill me. So what I do instead is I eat pears. Pears sit with me just fine. That may not work for you. So this blood type diet, very, very interesting. You know, you ought to look into it. And I'm thinking about looking more into it as well. But I don't know, I feel pretty healthy. You know, as of this recording, I am 5'8", or actually a little hair under that from what I understand. A little hair under 5'8". I weigh 148 pounds. That's my average, I guess. 148. I've been maintaining that since, since I was in high school, actually. So kind of nice. So I feel pretty good about what I'm doing. You need to look into what you're doing. You could talk to your doctor. Kind of depends on the doctor and what they're going to tell you. As I say, their motto seems to be, a healthy patient is a lost customer. So if you find that your doctor is pushing a lot of pills, especially prescription pills and supplements and things like that, they may not be the best source for nutrition information. Go online, ask questions. There are a lot of Facebook groups out there, a lot of Instagram groups, even TikTok. You can do the little, or not TikTok. Well, yeah, TikTok too, and X. Use the hashtags to, you know, find your people and find information. And then just get on a search engine. I like to use DuckDuckGo. If I'm looking on Google, kind of hard to say, you know, some things are a little biased there depending on what the most recent narrative is. So anyway, do some research. Find out what works for you. And you might be experimenting a little bit too. Anyway, so what I'm going to tell you actually are some general things that I think will work for most people. Oh yeah, see, I'm going to back up again. Fad diets. Be careful with those fad diets. Many of those diets you cannot maintain for the rest of your life. So you need to find a diet that you can stay on forever. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself in this up and down roller coaster ride of gaining and losing weight, you know, every 6 months or every year when you feel like going on this weird fad diet, whether it's keto or the cabbage diet or whatever the heck it is. Don't do it. You know who's got good ones? I went through Nutrisystem when I was younger, and that was amazing because they had me go through nutrition classes. And then, what's the other one? I was just thinking, keto. Yeah, it's kind of sketchy. Oh, Weight Watchers. Yeah, how could I forget that? Anyway, they're all focused on nutrition. So here's some of the things, like I said, that I do that have been working for me, and they're very general. I think they're going to work for a lot of people. Add fruits and vegetables to your diet every day. I personally think one good serving of vegetables, now to me, that's a whole cup. And this is another thing you have to look up. What is considered a serving? Okay. A serving could be a cup. It could be a half an apple. It could be a half a pear. It could be a whole pear. It could be 2 cups of watermelon. Who knows what that is? 15 grapes or 30 grapes. Check out what the servings are. So either way, add fruits and vegetables to your diet. So many people will say, oh, well, you know, if I eat that rabbit food, it's going to kill me. No, it's not. Not eating that rabbit food is what's going to kill you. And I've had 2 friends, actually, who had that attitude. First one died of his second heart attack at the age of 57. And that one just broke my heart. He was one of my best friends from high school. Next one was a neighbor, same attitude. And he died of his first and only heart attack at the age of 65, I believe. It's been a year and a half ago now. That was really sad. So that whole attitude about, that rabbit food is going to kill me. No, it's not eating that rabbit food that's going to kill you. So fruits and vegetables. The other thing I would suggest is cut down on those processed foods and sweets and things that are just generally fattening. Does anybody use that word fattening anymore? That was a big deal when my mom was always on a diet in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and forever. She said everything was fattening. So, but either way, I don't know. What do you want to call it? High calorie? I don't know. Screw it. It's just fattening. It's just fattening. Candy, breads, pastries, and even some vegetables have a lot of carbs and could be considered fattening. Fried potatoes, like French fries. Yeah, things like that. Regular potatoes aren't so bad for you. They're actually good for you. And the whole thing about carbs, a lot of fruits and vegetables have carbs in them, but they are still good for you. So see, this is where you have to do your research and ask a lot of questions and find out what's good and what's bad. The other thing you need to remember, everything in moderation. I love that phrase, and I don't know where I first heard it, but you can have like maybe a half a baked potato with some butter on it, and that would just be amazing, and it's actually pretty healthy. But if you have a baked potato and then you slop on sour cream and you put on bacon bits and a big pile of cheese, okay, now we're not talking about the potato here. We're talking about all the stuff that you've added on. You're kind of pushing it there, okay? So either way, watch those fattening foods. You can have a little bit. I mean, I eat a candy bar every once in a while. And what I mean by every once in a while is probably every 4 to 6 months. I just get a craving. I have to have it for whatever reason. Cookies, pastries. Man, I just plowed through a cheese Danish about 2 months ago. It was so good. But I only do that maybe once a year. So, yeah, everything in moderation. And if you're not really sure, you can't really look at the label on a package. These processed foods, they all say, fat-free, low-fat, gluten-free, and all the rest of this. Turn around, look at the ingredients label and see what's actually in it. Honestly, if it has a lot of chemicals in it, probably not a good thing to be eating, because you don't know what those chemicals are going to do to your body on the inside once they're in there. Once you start digesting that stuff and it goes out through your system, you don't know if it's going to affect your ability to gain weight, lose weight, spike your blood sugar, anything like that. So if you're not sure, you can just type that into a search engine real fast and find out what it's doing to you and whether or not it's really actually a healthy choice, even though it says healthy choice all over the front of it. Oh my God, manufacturers, they're trying to make money. So of course they're going to lie. And I can, pretty that up with other words like, oh, they're going to mislead you, blah, blah, blah. No, they're lying. Okay. That's all it is. So the other thing you should do is move around a little bit every day. And I am so bad about this. I know I only exercise a few minutes every morning. Then lately I've been really good. About 2 months ago, I started riding my stationary bike in my living room while I'm doing my work on my cell phone, checking email and stuff like that. I thought, well, I can do that just as easily pedaling my bike as I can do it sitting on the floor or on the couch or the recliner or whatever. So move around a little bit every day. Get out, walk. I swear to God, even if you only do 5 minutes, even if you only do a half a mile, it's better than nothing at all. It keeps your muscles toned, and that's what this is all about. Exercising is keeping your muscles toned, and the most important muscle you have is your heart. You'll want to keep that one pumping and in good shape. If you don't keep your muscles toned, there's, what do they call that? Where you start losing muscle tone? They just start deteriorating. I'll come back to that word. But either way, that's what's going to happen if you don't move around just a little bit every day. 5 minutes is better than no minutes. A half a mile walk up and down the hill that I do out here, that's better than nothing at all. So start small. Don't go extreme. Because that extreme thing, I see so many people do this. Oh yeah, I'm going to run 5 miles every day. And they're doing this. They're going from 0 to 5 miles. It's like, are you kidding? You're probably not even going to make it 20 feet out the door. So, especially if you're thinking about running it. And honestly, I don't think that's any fun. I don't like running. It hurts my knees. It always has. So it's like, screw that. So I walk, I think it's about quarter mile up and down the hill here. It's quarter mile up, quarter mile back. I do that, 2 or 3 times a week. Again, it's better than nothing at all. And I highly encourage you to do something. So these are some preventative things. As I say, they work for me. You have to find out what works for you, and you have to find things that you can maintain the rest of your life. And that's not a year, that's not 2 years. I'm talking 30, 40, 50 years, okay? If you want to stay healthy, cut down on the costs that you're putting out for medications and any kind of medical care, and it'll avoid those chronic issues that you might eventually encounter. And I hope you don't. I hope you don't. We all want to stay healthy. I think everybody wants to stay healthy. And again, how many times can I say this? It will save you money. It really will. I think it's so worth it. Now, when you do get this health insurance, it's going to cover all these things like your medicines and any medical care that you might encounter. What will it actually cover? Well, it covers a lot of, what would you say, annual checkups, things like your blood test, your urine test, any female and male exams. And generally it covers most medications. Now, if you have hereditary issues, I'm not addressing that because there are so many out there and it's hard to really control that. You really need specialized information on that, whatever it is. Okay, so I'm just talking generally speaking. Also, you're covered if you get in a car accident. Your health insurance will probably cover any injuries that you sustain in something like that. And I hate to say it doesn't cover stupid, but it does. Okay, health insurance covers stupid. Kind of weird, things like, hitting your thumb with a hammer, or if you're a mechanic, you work on a car and, I don't know, you drop something and it breaks a bone. It'll cover that. Typical accidents, or, even if you're that person. I remember when cell phones came out and people did selfies by standing on the edge of the Grand Canyon and falling. Some people died. Some people, fortunately, recovered and just got hurt. So, yeah, health insurance generally covers injuries for accidents like that, even though they're stupid. So, now, if you have a high-risk hobby, such as skydiving, rock climbing, you're a race car driver, you fly planes or those ultralights or something like that, it may or may not cover that. This is where you have to ask questions and see if you need what they call a rider to your insurance policy that covers those high-risk hobbies. You just never know. So ask questions. The other thing it doesn't cover, I know for sure, is any kind of cosmetic surgery. So, and cosmetic is basically elective. That means you don't need it to stay alive. So if you need like tooth implants, that's been happening a lot lately. Or if you have this burning desire to have a tummy tuck, or you want to have boob implants or whatever, those are elective surgeries. LASIK on your eyes, that's elective. You don't need it to stay alive, Yeah, most insurance doesn't cover things like that. So, and that brings me to dental insurance. Many times people get a health insurance package and it includes dental insurance. Sometimes you have to pay extra for that, or it's a separate policy with a separate company. Now, it does cover many preventative things, kind of like your health insurance. It covers preventative things like annual teeth cleaning. You go in once a year, have your teeth cleaned and examined. That's usually covered 100%. Usually covers basic fillings. So if you get a cavity, it'll cover that 100%. Chipped tooth, if you need a tooth pulled for whatever reason. It covers only partially things like gum disease treatment, because that could go on for years. And I know that because my daughter just went through that. It may cover partial payments for root canals. I mentioned that earlier, root canals and crowns. And a lot of times people say, well, what's partial? Well, it could be 50%, 60%, 40%. And you think may not be that bad then. Well, the last time I had a crown done, I chipped a tooth. It was really random. I bit something and one of my good teeth, it just cracked. Man, that hurt. Not the cracking part, it was the pain that it caused for a few days after that. And I finally called the dentist, and yeah, he said, okay, not sure if we can save this tooth. Now, to me, saving the tooth is putting a crown on it and holding it there and leaving it be. Not saving it is having it pulled and having to get an implant. Remember, most dental insurance will not cover implants at all. And I've heard they cost anywhere from $5,000 to $7,000 a piece. Not to mention the process to have it done. That goes on for a few months and it's painful. Again, my daughter went through this. So this guy ended up by doing the root canal and then putting a crown over it, saved the tooth. I'm so happy. But even covering 60% with my insurance, it ran me, I think it was about $700 or $800. That's what I had to pay out of pocket. So that was crazy expensive. So what's some of the preventative maintenance you can do to avoid things? Now the cracked tooth, I don't know that I could have avoided that. I like eating almonds and yeah, that's what happened. But preventative, I will tell you that my dentist years ago had a sign in his office that says, only brush and floss the teeth that you want to keep. Now considering we only get 2 sets of teeth in our life, and the first set is usually gone by the time you're 8 or 9 years old, the second set carries over from there and has to last 50, 60, 70 years. I would say these preventative measures probably a good idea to consider, and they're really cheap. Toothbrush. You brush your teeth every day, twice a day, every morning, every night. You can do it in the afternoon. There's no such thing as too much when it comes to brushing your teeth. Toothbrushes, I don't think they're terribly expensive. I actually get a package of 10 on Amazon, and they last me like 2 years. So, because I change them out every couple of months. But the other thing, floss. You gotta floss. That's why I said that sign said you brush and floss all the teeth that you want to keep. I had my first root canal when I was 8 months pregnant with my daughter. I was, how old was I? 29 years old. Oh my God, that was the most painful thing in my life. And I swore I never wanted another root canal with a crown process. Of course, I've had a few since then because old cavities of mine are falling apart that I had up until that point. Either way, so she is now 37. My God, my daughter's 37. Anyway, so I've been flossing my teeth every day since then. Since then, I have had count them, one new cavity. And even that one was about 5 years ago. So for the first 35 years or 32 years, whatever it was, no cavities because I started flossing my teeth every day. Freaking amazing. And floss, I'm sorry, it's not nearly as expensive as that damn root canal and crown I had to do last year because of a cracked tooth. Floss, I don't know, I get like 500 yards or feet or whatever in a package for $5 or $6, and that'll last me a couple of months. It's really cheap and it is so worth it. And it doesn't take you long to floss. Every morning, every night, I think it takes me, about a minute and a half, and then I brush my teeth for another 2 or 3 minutes. It is so worth it to save that kind of money. So yeah, do some preventative maintenance on your teeth. You don't want to be one of those old people with gaps in your mouth because they had to pull all your teeth and you couldn't afford to have implants done. I mean, hell, implants weren't even invented until, about 15 years ago? So there are a lot of people my age running around with gaps. Just want to mention again what dental insurance won't cover. Probably not those implants. So that's out of pocket anywhere. Like I said, the last I checked, $5,000 to $7,000 a piece. Dentures, though, not really sure what that does. I don't know what the coverage is on that. So that's something you'll have to look into yourself. But again, floss and brushing every day. You are more likely to save those teeth that you need to have last for the next 50 or 60 years, okay? All right, last one, vision insurance. As far as preventative stuff that you can do for your eyes, well, not a lot, because a lot of things are hereditary. I mean, by the time by the time I turned 40. When I turned 40, I swear to God, the day after I turned 40, all of a sudden I went from single vision glasses to not bifocals, even trifocals. I started wearing glasses in the 5th grade. So for me, I was probably 9 or 10. And yeah, that really sucked. All of a sudden, I couldn't see the blackboard from the back of the room. And I remember that going in for my first vision exam and picking out glasses. And I don't care what they looked like, they were ugly. I hated wearing glasses. So I was really bad. I didn't wear them for a long time. And I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing. So my eyes, they got progressively worse over the time. And again, I think that's hereditary. I don't think you can really prevent that. If you want to know, ask questions, talk to an ophthalmologist and find out if there's anything you can do. Now, I will tell you there are things that they will suggest you do that could slow down that progression if you have, problems with vision loss. They will always say wear protective gear anytime you're doing anything. If you're a welder, if you're off-roading, riding a motorcycle, if you carve, do wood carving or woodwork or anything like that, anything where stuff can fly up and get into your eyes, wear protective gear to protect your eyes. And that's a really good idea. I think that's common sense, but I don't know. I threw it out there anyway, right? Wear sunglasses on sunny days. That'll help, lessen the strain on your eyes. So they always say that, wear sunglasses. Also, when you're reading, I love to read, and I'm the worst person about reading books in bed and not having good light. You should always have good lighting when you're reading. When you were working on a computer, something I did for 40 years, take a break occasionally. Don't sit there and stare at the screen all the time forever and ever, and especially everybody who's on their little cell phones and those little screens. Sometimes those are hard to read anyway. That puts a strain on your eyes, and that could possibly advance the deterioration of your vision. So those are things that all eye doctors will tell you. I wish I had more preventative information on that, something that was a sure thing, but I really don't. Sorry about that. Now, what vision insurance does cover, if you do get that, and this is something I've noticed I almost always had to pay for separately from my regular health insurance and dental. Sometimes, like I said, they bundle together health and dental, but they don't always throw vision in there. That is actually pretty inexpensive. I don't think I've ever paid more than $20 a month for that. And that was up until 2 years ago when I had to get on that whole Medicare thing that the government required me to do that. Part of Medicare actually is a vision insurance, and yeah, I'm billed for it. Yay. What it does cover, though, it does cover annual eye exams, which is kind of nice. Although I do remember a policy where it only covered that every 2 years. So again, ask questions, find out exactly what your policy will cover. As far as new glasses, a lot of times it will cover new lenses in your glasses every year, but new frames every 2 years. So you have to reuse your frames, and that's okay. If you need trifocals like I do, it doesn't always cover the entire cost for the lens. Like I said, it'll cover a single vision, but I have triple vision on mine, so that's a little bit more expensive. I think the last time I got glasses, 2 years ago, it ran me about $450 for my lenses. So, and I don't know what the insurance covered on that. All I know is I had to pay out $450. Kind of sucked. Anyway, contacts. I wore contacts when I was younger. Seems to me it did cover part of the cost of my contacts. Seems to me that also changed with every different policy I got. Again, you have to ask questions on this. Don't really know. It's not going to cover anything elective like LASIK because you don't want to deal with contacts or glasses. It doesn't cover that. That's an elective surgery. Since there is a solution with glasses that you could use, the insurance company knows that. So yeah, LASIK surgery or laser surgery, not usually covered, considered elective. Now, it may or may not cover surgery that is needed to prevent you from going blind, and I'm thinking cataracts. Interesting thing I've learned about that, I have found out that I am at the beginning stages of cataracts. I figured that out about 2 years ago. Mine don't seem to be getting any worse, so I can still see, but I have these little floater things in my eyes. They're like black and they kind of move around. It's really weird. Anyway, I found out that my insurance now, like I said, it's Medicare, but even before that, before I was on Medicare, they wouldn't cover the removal of those things, those floaters, those cataracts that I'm getting as well. They won't cover that until it's so bad that I can't see. I thought, well, that's really nice. Kind of sucks, actually. So I don't know. It would be nice if something like that would get changed. What I'm noticing already is it's affecting my vision at night. And so I don't do a lot of night driving anymore. A lot of old people are like that, and that's why. Insurance won't cover it. And I don't know how expensive it is to just do it out of pocket. I haven't looked into it, but if it's something you think you need, you might want to look into it. My son was actually diagnosed in the Marine Corps with cataracts when he was, how old is he now? He's 35. So I think he was like 26, 27. And that's very unusual for young people to have those starting right away. Nobody else in my family had it. I know his eye doctor was asking, is it hereditary? Anybody else have it? And at that point, I had no problem with it either. So really weird, really random. But his insurance, even in the Marine Corps, wouldn't cover that removal. He wears glasses. It doesn't seem to affect his vision right now. He's still in the aviation industry. Seems to be doing okay. Really weird though, isn't it? Anyway, so there's the whole scoop on all your insurance. When you hear companies, about talk about the benefits that they offer, they say, well, we have health insurance. Well, find out for sure if that health insurance not only includes medical coverage, it includes dental and it includes vision. And if you are a person who wears glasses and you have teeth, I suggest you look into all three options, whether or not they're a bundle deal or whatever it is. If you are not working or your employer doesn't offer that, look into getting it on your own. I don't know what it costs anymore. I know when I was paying it out of pocket on my own before I got into Medicare, I was paying about $200 a month for all three. And that was 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. See, I can't remember all these things. I don't write them down, so I don't remember. Pardon me. Either way, medical insurance is very important because if you don't have them, what happens is you get hurt, you end up in the hospital, and now you've got crazy, outrageous bills. And remember, I said that earlier, the cost of medical care and medications, it's gone through the roof for everything. And stuff happens. You may or may not have the money to pay for this out of pocket. Now, I did meet somebody recently who talked about how he is paying out of pocket. He doesn't pay for a separate policy, and he's been able to negotiate the prices for the open heart surgery he had about 6 months ago. Before he started negotiating, I don't know when he negotiated it down to, but his bills were like $400,000. That covered, the hospital, the doctors, the medication, the surgery, the anesthesiologist. And it's like, oh my God, that's crazy expensive. As I say, I don't know what he negotiated it down to, but I guess that's something. Well, when you look for a job, my last bit of advice is find out what the benefits are. And I'll tell you what, that's one of the things that really motivated me to get out of minimum wage jobs and look into more, what would you say, long-term career type jobs. Because those minimum wage jobs, and especially because they're part-time, they don't always have benefits like this. It's those more permanent career-oriented jobs that do. And they pay better too. So anyway, I hope that's a motivation for you to look into other opportunities, to get better jobs, to build a career, make more money, because it'll help you to pay for all this stuff, okay? Remember, if you're 18, you're in college, you can be on your parents' policy probably until you're 26, but again, ask questions. Either way, after that, you're on your own. If you don't go to college, you turn 18, your parents don't have coverage, then you are on your own and you have to get something yourself. Be aware of that. Talk to your parents, figure it out. If you need to get your own policies, that's your situation. Start looking into it when you get closer to your 18th birthday or your senior year in high school, or as I say, when you get your first job. Yeah, it can be expensive, but it's one of those things where you have to ask yourself, do you feel lucky? That's it for today's show. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any comments, any questions, suggestions on things that you'd like to talk to me about, like me to do a whole show about, just feel free to send me an email. That email address is jan@lifeafter18.com. And don't forget to go to my website, look at that blog menu, find health and hygiene, and look at all those tips that I'd mentioned that work for me. Remember, it works for me, may or may not work for you, so it's kind of general. Anyway, it's always good to look these things up. Again, my email address is jan@lifeafter18.com. jan@lifeafter18.com. That's it. I guess I'll just shut up and I'll see you in the next show. Bye for now.